But my beats, they are hard.
All right. Hello, welcome to another live episode of the BCSN SportsWrap. There we go. Right here on the Black College Sports Network. If I couldn't be here with AD Drew to talk basketball on one of my favorite days of the year, Selection Sunday, I can think of no better people to talk hoops with than Charles Edmond and Liv Antilla, a.k.a. Liv for Hoops. Charles, Liv, how you guys doing tonight?
Hey.
Doing great. Waiting for these men's team seeding to be currently announced. So, but it's that exciting season that everyone, even non-basketball fans, get revved up for. So
Exactly. Already they have already started seeding teams. Yeah, come on now, Liv. I'm Charles. I'm gonna date myself. Me and Charles. This might be a conversation for me and Charles, Liv. You're too young for this. Charles, you remember back in the day when we used to watch the show, it would have like a sheet of paper and be filling it out as the show was going, and you have to like pause the video recorder because you couldn't. If you missed it, it was over. Like you have to go wait till ESPN, and so we would like be filling out the bracket live while it was going. Liv, you don't know nothing about that because you got.
No, we definitely got like the printed out sheets in class with like everyone's thing already on it. I wasn't having to pause TVs, no.
Oh man, this is one of my greater days. I love days like this when you can already start to break down the brackets, and we are waiting to see where we got HBCU teams. Obviously, they do the men's at 6:00 Eastern, and then they'll do the women's at 8. And so, in the meantime, in between time, myself, Liv, Charles, will kind of break down a little bit of what we saw over the course of the past week. Just in general. Now, Liv, you were in Atlanta. Charles, you were in Atlanta. I unfortunately could not get to Atlanta for the SWAC tournament. Lost Charles. So Charles will be coming back here in a second. So we get Charles coming back. Liv, I'll start with you. And just overall, obviously we know Southern women get the job done. Carlos Funches and the Lady Jaguars win the third title in 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, and his fourth overall. Amazing stats. And then Prairie View, my dark horse. They were my dark horse. I just wish I would have trusted my instinct, but the dark horse, Prairie View Panthers, got it done. What were your impressions? Let's just start from just the SWAC tournament in general before we get into specifics on the teams.
Yeah, so I really liked the Gateway Arena at College Park. I think it is a place that can really flourish and be successful. I will say, I'll get it out the way, I do think having 12 teams is overkill. Because it's like Monday to Saturday. That's a long week for a tournament. And you had, obviously, still some teams came later because why would they come? And I will commend the SWAC for canceling the banquet and just rolling out the awards online. So players had gotten their trophies at practice, much better than forcing teams to come spend extra money when they didn't play till Thursday. There was teams who didn't have their first game till Thursday. So I could see, they may tinker with that just a little bit. I'm kind of like, we can try, but I get it. There was a real lot of good competition. I thought a lot of the games especially the night ones had some really good crowds. That FAMU versus Southern game was crazy. Like the energy in the gym was it was live. So I think, it was a really good ran tournament. And I think that, they'll keep having those building blocks going into year 3 out in Atlanta next year.
Charles, Liv was just talking about the general vibe of the tournament. Obviously, we started with the fact that all 12 teams were there, and fortunately, teams didn't have to show up on Sunday like we had all originally thought. So, what were your general impressions of the tournament and the 12 teams and all that good stuff?
Well, that's going to take to get a lot of conversation. Not 24 teams should be in the tournament. And people in this space talking about it since it was announced. Look, I mean, you had on inside, you had a situation where who won side. And really, the second time in the last few years, you had the 8 win a few years ago. On the women's side, of course, of the university, wanted back. All the teams being there, the SWAC wide open. I mean, and I think an athlete experience. That's part of the reason why all 12 teams were there, because the student athlete advisory committee, which communicated with the SWAC, and the ADs wanted all teams in, and I think it really provides. I was there. We were there. I was hoping it would be a bit longer, but it did turn out. So I think experience. I think it was a lot of energy in the building. And, you saw Southern make it in on the mid side. I mean, Jaguar Nation show up. There were some surprises. A&M brought. And A&M, a lot of people thought they would just get it done. And I think by conference being so wide open, there's nothing, and you just assume the number one dogs are going to win over the years. That's the case. Great energy. I know year one, the commissioner said the president's really pleased with it. I think that everyone is pleased with it again, despite all the teams being there.
Charles, let me do this. I'm gonna have you try to log back out. Shake the internet connection real quick, and try to come back in because you were a little garbled there. We heard you, buddy. I know you got a better connection, and so let me so go ahead and try to reboot and see if we can get you with a better signal coming in. All right. I'm gonna let Charles do that.
I do want to say quick, as of right now, no HBCU is facing a number 1 seed in the West or the East region. So no one's been announced yet between Tennessee State, Howard, or Prairie View at this time. They just finished the East region and started the West for men.
Right. So what we can, before we get back to talking about the SWAC, what we can, I just noticed I see LIU got a 16
I said,
West.
So I'm like, who's going to get bumped into that playing game? Because Katz, who's like the official NCAA guy who does all the things, he had LIU as the play-in game. So I'm interested because,
that was a prediction. That was his predictions, though.
Yes,
I saw that.
Yes. There was some statistic where it was like, I should have taken a screenshot. Most 1 seeds in the tournament didn't win their conference tournament this season for the men. So I'll be really intrigued to see where we're placed, what's happening. And I do think Tennessee State will be a 15 seed, but again, you never know. So
so the overall number ones were Duke, who won the ACC, Michigan lost in the championship game of the Big Ten, Arizona, who won the Big 12, and Florida, who lost, I think, in the semis of the SEC. So those are the 4 1 seeds. Now, what we can predict, or what we can say for sure, without a doubt, the conference rating of the MEAC and the SWAC are 31 and 32 among 32 conferences. So what that means is unless there was somebody like who was having a really great year, those teams would most likely end up as the play-in 16 seeds. So we can expect Howard men. We can expect
Prairie
View's men, especially as the 8 seed, to be in the play-in games. Now, let's just hope that they don't stick them up against each other.
See, and I don't like that. I've seen so many
vicious.
predictions saying that, and I don't like that. So
all right, we already got one play-in game already. Texas and North Carolina State. Wow, North Carolina State is a play-in game. Wow. Texas and North Carolina State. That's one of the first 4 games. We can already see that because that's a West Region 11 seed matchup. So I think what everybody will be watching now will Miami of Ohio and somebody else get that other 11 seed. Charles, we were talking about the conference ratings. That's one of those sore subjects that I think everybody on this screen, we always talk about that. Unlike a lot of people, we talk about our conference standings. It's like beating a dead horse. It's that meme of somebody beating a dead horse. But I mean, it is what it is. We are 20, 32, and 31. We know how to fix it. I mean, we've all talked about it on our various shows, and so I mean, look, don't get upset, folks, when you see this. But I actually think it's actually a good thing, Charles, because, and Liv, you speak on this if you want. I think it gives us an opportunity, to get a tournament win, which a tournament win means cha-ching. That means money into the pockets.
Yep, and I can tell you this: in over the years, I've talked with a lot of coaches in the league about this, and they actually don't mind the play-in game now because it's another pathway to survive and advance. Remember, in years past, we used to be a 16 seed, and we'd go up against one of the top 4 teams in the country. You're one and done. Now you're in the play-in, and we've seen our teams do well in that first 4 games. They move on, and they're still gonna get one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. If Prairie View happens to win that first 4, whatever region they're in, they're going to be playing one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country. I mean, it's just one more game, but that's still, like you said, Brian, more money. So, this story is a dead horse. It's got maggots on it. I'm kind of tired of talking about it. I agree. It is what it is. As a league, we have to continue to schedule. And our commissioner, Dr. McClellan, was the chairman of the NCAA Basketball Committee for a number of years. And he talked about what the formula is going forward to avoid the play-in situation. These quad 2 games, play them at a certain time in November and December. He talked about it for at least 2 years. But, whether or not it happens or not, it probably won't. But if we're going to get out of that hole, then we know what we have to do, but that's a whole nother subject. I would just, I've been a part of some SWAC games in which, our team, Alcorn, has been in Dayton. It's a great experience, and, it's a chance for you to rack up a win against a quality team that I think you can beat. We've had some success in Dayton.
And it's a tournament game. It's not like it is a tournament game.
To see that,
they get the full kids get the full
going forward
in the tournament.
Unless we schedule better, we're going to be a play-in. To get Yes.
I got you, Charles. The internet won't let you be great right now. I know it's frustrating. It's killing me. That's all right though. I see this comment by my guy EA. And EA, I don't know about this, Liv. I don't know if you agree.
But I've been a part of.
Oh goodness.
Hold on.
So back in '99.
Hold on. We're losing. I know we hear you. I'm gonna bring you back. I'm gonna bring you back in a second, Charles. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yes, Charles is from his home studio. It's not internet. Internet is not letting him be great this evening. It's funny. I got thunderstorms going on out here in Florida, so I feel the pain. I'm gonna respond, and Liv, I don't know if you want to respond to EA's comment. I've never thought about this. That the first four, I don't know if it was necessarily created to help HBCUs, more like maybe mid-majors. It was more helped. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Probably. I really don't care about our teams playing in the first four. I think, again, as Charles was saying, it's a game. It is the tournament, and it's a chance to get some money. But also, I think, like last year when Southern won, it was like, it took everyone, the whole internet by storm that they won, which we're all like, we knew, like from the jump, we were like, we knew they could beat that other team. So I think it's a good opportunity because they're there. All I want is when our teams do have strong resumes, I want those resumes to be respected. And yes, unfortunately, the MEAC and the SWAC are ranked the lowest of the low. But there are teams who have garnered, respect in general. And so sometimes they shouldn't be that seed, but they are. And I'm always just like, okay, on to the next, prepare for the game. So, I think it was in hindsight for all of mid-majors to help them, get that opportunity to essentially, and I'm not saying all do, but not get blown out, because they're usually always placed versus the number 1 and number 2 teams in the nation.
Mm-hmm. Let me come back to the SWAC tournament for a second. And as we talk about biggest stories, right? I mean, so many major stories in this tournament. And I don't know if you want to do it just a blanket, men and women, or just by division. But I'm curious, if I give you these 3 stories, you tell me how you rank, because I think these were the 3 biggest stories.
Okay.
Alabama A&M upset, if you want to call it an upset. I think it's fair to call it an upset. I think
that's the wrong word, but okay.
Okay, I'm going to use the word upset, but that's me. Southern women repeating for back-to-back as a 4 seed, and then
hold on, just pause. Howard was placed as the 16 playing game in the Midwest region against UMBC.
Yes, okay. And the winner of that game will play Michigan. Okay. Yep. Okay. So Howard is definitely playing in Dayton, Ohio. We'll have to wait to see whether they're playing on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to guess Tuesday, because the game against Michigan is on Thursday. So they usually try to give them a day. So that means Howard will probably play on Tuesday against UMBC. Remember, UMBC, that was a team that knocked off, famously, wasn't it UMBC that knocked off a 1 seed? Was that UMBC? Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, Maryland, Baltimore County, I think is what the initials are. But so that game will probably be on Tuesday. And then the winner of that game will play Michigan on Thursday in Buffalo, New York. So we already know where Howard is going. We'll wait to see where Prairie View and where Tennessee State are seated. So going back to my other third story, Prairie View A&M. +7. Look, I'm going to give you the numbers. Some people don't listen to this, but I do. +1,700 going into the tournament, meaning they had the 3rd lowest odds to win the tournament. +1,700 as the 8 seed. There's only 12. +1,700, but they were other than FAMU, they were the hottest team coming into the tournament. Had won 5 of 6 games coming into the tournament. They were the hot team. And so, how would you rank those 3 stories?
I'm going to put Prairie View at number 1. But I will say, as someone who watches all these teams, I saw the potential that this team had throughout their out-of-conference season. What hindered them in a lot of actual SWAC play was that one of their best scorers was out. He probably was out a whole month with all of his injuries combined, and the other players hadn't found their role. But like you said, they won 5 of their last 6, and that's where we saw them really start to dominate. Like, they absolutely dominated Texas Southern, not once, but twice. And Byron will tell you, Coach Smith will tell you, with 0 NIL. Look what they brought in with 0 NIL. And
0?
that's his words, 0 NIL.
With that 1876 NIL group they got over there in Prairie View, basketball means none of it.
So
okay, let me stop.
You don't get me in trouble now. Take it up with Coach Smith. But he recruited a bunch of dudes that just wanted to play. And Dante Horn will tell you that. He said, I just want the opportunity to play. And look at how electric he was through the tournament. I said, I was walking around before Prairie View played Bethune. I was like, you guys, Prairie View is going to win this game. Anyone who asked me, I was like, Prairie View is going to win this game. And everyone was like, Liv, you're crazy. You're crazy. I was like, no, I said, if you paid attention when they played at Bethune, which Bethune was really good at home, they played them to single digits. I said, if Horn gets off to a good start, Prairie View's winning that game. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to give it to them because I think, a lot of teams obviously battle adversity, but when you have a top, at the time he got injured, he was the number 3 scorer in the nation, go down, and then other people are forced to step into roles. They literally have, they are. Sorry. Yep. Tennessee State got the 15th seed against, was that Iowa State?
Iowa State in St. Louis, Charles, in St. Louis, Missouri on Friday. That was one of the predictions that Andy Katz had.
I'm not mad at that.
Interesting.
So,
sorry, I'm cheating it.
That's all right. Yeah, go ahead. Charles, what Liv and I were just mentioning, and I know you kind of jumped in. I was asking just overall top 3 stories from the SWAC tournament. I said it was the Alabama A&M loss in the semis, Southern women repeating, or Prairie View making the run that they did, 4 wins in 5 days. What if you had to rank them 1, 2, 3? What's your most memorable story from the SWAC basketball tournament?
Prairie View.
Mm-hmm.
I said on Carlos's show, probably the only person on the planet outside of G. Boom Holly and the Prairie View A&M Nation that had Prairie View A&M beating Southern yesterday. Prairie View had momentum and they had confidence. And I'm with Liv. As the tournament rolled along, you can see that Prairie View's playing with house money.
Yep.
Just think about it. When Byron Smith and that crew got on the plane to come to Atlanta, if they had done anything less than what they were doing, they probably wouldn't be at Prairie View next year. They're playing for their jobs, those guys. And so for them to do what they did, and the 2 wins they had over Texas Southern, they blew us out. They played Bethune to a 6-point game. Mm-hmm. We beat them by 1 early in the season. I think Byron Smith's team was kind of right on the margins. And so, that was one big storyline for me. Alabama A&M, they had been in so many close games. Mm-hmm. And I saw a post, and I actually sent it to Carlos, that maybe, and I know you don't try to do this as an athlete or as a coach, but maybe A&M losing a game or 2 deep in, down the stretch there might have helped them a little bit, kind of reset, recalibrate, bring them down to earth just a little bit, because then you got that edge again. And I kind of felt that going in. I love Dawn Brown. I know her personally, know the family, and she's done a great job. But I just thought that streak, 18 in a row, the weight, they're probably the hottest team in the country. Not in the SWAC, but in the country. And so to make that run, to do it again in the tournament was really tough. I do think Southern, the Lady Jags, are battle tested. Mm-hmm. I mean, Coach Funch has done a wonderful job taking over for Sandy Pugh down there. I mean, and his demeanor is great. But I thought the storyline as far as the men were concerned, Florida A&M had momentum. They had confidence. Texas Southern, even though they lost their best players, still won some gritty, grimy games down the stretch. And then Prairie View. And to see the Panthers do what they did with everything on the line, Coach Smith's job on the line, he's got a year extension now. They were playing with house money, especially once you got in the semifinals. Southern just didn't shoot the ball well. And as Coach Johnson said, they missed 17 layups. Hard to win with that. And I just think 3 games in 3 days, even though that's an excuse, that emotional win in the semis, all that. So I think the biggest story for me, Prairie View is an 8 seed. The second time in the last few years, an 8 seed has won the tournament. I think that's a huge story to me.
There was a stretch, and I documented it, from January 17th to February 14th. Prairie View lost 7 of 8 games, right? That's like right in the middle of your – and there was even – remember the whole post-game press thing that Coach Smith had? And then he had to – or somebody apologized for him. I still don't know who did the apologies. But somebody had to apologize for – I mean, it was like the wheels were coming off. And then for that team to rebound, and like you said, they closed out with winning 5 of 6. And I got sold on them. Like I remember what they did in the FAMU game, where that game was 100-96, a game that, I mean, look, FAMU should have been walking away to the cafe by about the midway through the second half, but Prairie View hawked them down in the last 6 minutes and made a game out of it. But it was what they did to Texas Southern. When I watched, I watched what they did to Texas. They dismantled Texas Southern like the last game of the season.
Yep.
I said, uh-oh. I said, watch out for this team. That was the game that sold me on Prairie View. I mean, so that's an amazing turnaround. And
if you look at the championship game, I mean, one of the storylines, obviously, Prairie View is an 8 seed, and Jerron Joseph played for Southern University.
Yeah.
And so, I was saying, Joseph, if there's anybody on that team that wants to beat Southern University, it's him.
And I think all of his teammates wanted that for him, to be quite honest. And I think that's why we saw them come out with the energy they did. Because obviously, there's one side, 2 side, and then the middle, but they're seeing his emotions and knowing, his experience. And so I think they definitely were like, we want to win, but also the extra motivation is for you. And Prairie View is playing Lehigh in the first 4. They will face Florida if they win.
Right. That's Prairie View versus Lehigh. That'll be on Wednesday in Dayton, Ohio. The winner will play Friday against the University of Florida in Tampa. I'm on spring break, so I'll be trying to make my way over to that.
Oh, wow. You said that, Brian. You did say you were hoping that.
I did. I told you. I tweeted that out. So, I mean, boom, book me now. I'm trying to be there. I just need Prairie View to do their part to win, so that way I can get my media credentials, HBCU coverage, right? I need Prairie View to go ahead and win on Wednesday night. So there we go. We'll recap where the HBCUs are in a second. The interesting stat that I pulled out regarding Southern, and Southern, of course, women winning their 3rd tournament championship in the last 4 years. Do you guys realize since 2019, right? That's the last 7 tournaments. Now, I'm not going to say 7 years because there was the COVID year.
Right.
The last 7 tournaments, there have only been 2 coaches, 2 teams that have walked out of the SWAC women to the NCAA. And that's either been Southern and Carlos Funches or Jackson State and Tamika Reed.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I mean, I guess we have to start talking about Southern as the standard
coming into this season. I think a lot of people, if you look up Coach Funch's resume of his overall record in the conference, it's over 500. Like, he's a really good coach. And I think, when you've been there, you just know how to get it done. So that's why in the beginning of the season, they're always like, don't ever count us out. Don't count us out. So when they got the 4 seed, they weren't worried. Like, they were like, we know we can do what it takes. And they did just that. And the way they looked in that championship game, and I mean, Alabama State, they fought back a little bit in that 3rd quarter, but in the first 10 minutes, they were like, we're not even letting you think you have a chance in this game. So, I mean, when you have that championship culture, you've bred that, and every player you recruit they either get on board or get left behind. He's like, they're a no nonsense program. You're going to do the defense. You're going to lock into what we do here, and we're going to get a championship together. So they looked really good the entire tournament.
The only thing that concerned me about Southern, and I've known Coach Funches when he was an assistant at Southern under Sandy Pugh, who was at Prairie View and obviously didn't work out there. The Lady Jags were not a good free throw shooting team. And so
you know what's funny about that? So after they beat, who they play the first round? Oh my goodness. Who did they play the first round of the SWAC? My mind's going blank.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. I downloaded
Jackson
the bracket.
State. They played Jackson State. And that game, they went 12 for 27 from the free throw line. And in the post-game presser, I brought it up to Coach Funches. I said, free throw shooting has been your guys' Achilles heel this entire season. The last time they played A&M during the regular season, which was the last game, they went 6 for 21 from the free throw line and only lost by, 3 points? So I said, how much of a focus in your shoot around tomorrow are you just locking in on free throws? And while they didn't shoot a lot in that game, I think they went 6 for 7. They made the ones that they needed to make. And obviously, Bryan.
Sorry, couldn't help.
But in when it got down to it, in the semis and the championship, they made their free throws because they were like, we have to. But you're right. That has been their Achilles heel the entire season.
Yeah. They went through the line when they played Alcorn early in the year, Liv. They were 23 or 41 in that game. So Southern's just not a good free throw shooting team. They hadn't been, but they win in other ways. Mm-hmm. Defensively, they smother you, and they do just enough on the offensive end. And so I with that, you were kind of worried if you were a Jaguar fan, can they make the free throws when it counted? And as you mentioned, they definitely did that. But they overcame all of that and won it again. And you're right. Tamika Reed, Carlos Funches, the last several years have been the standard. Now it's Coach Funches, and just what he's done has been terrific. Just keeping that standard going at Southern University.
Let me throw some names. I know, Charles, you will appreciate this as someone who has been in the SWAC as long as you have. I did the looking up because I'm like, wow, Carlos Funches has won 4 tournaments, 4 times. Yeah. He is sitting amongst like the elite of elite women's basketball coaches that have come through the SWAC. Mm-hmm. Shirley Walker, 5-time SWAC champion, of course, from where, Charles?
Alcorn State University.
Right. 86, 91, 92, 2000, and 2001. And he joins along with, you already mentioned, Sandy Pugh, who won 4 at Southern. Mm-hmm. Sadie McGee, who won the first 4 times that there was the SWAC tournament for women. Jackson State, Coach McGee won 4 in a row. Yep. And then there was Patricia Bibbs of Grambling, who won 4 in 88, 94, 96, and 97. Carlos Funches is sitting among the elite of elite in the SWAC.
That, and I didn't do that kind of crunching, Bryan, and leave it up to you to break it down like that, Bryan. You're that guy. But he is amongst the elites in the conference and still going. And that's the thing about it. Hopefully Southern will lock him up long term where he's not going anywhere. But he's done a masterful job. I was concerned about him as a 4 seed, but in tournament play, Liv, as you know, that's what everybody talks about. And he seems to get that team to rise up in the most important moments, and because a lot of people thought this was Alabama A&M's tournament to lose. I mean, they won 18 in a row. And look, I was saying earlier, I know Dawn Brown personally. It was a wonderful season. They lost the first conference game to Valley. They reeled off 18 in a row. That's a lot of pressure going into the postseason. They won some close games, but they lost a close game that mattered the most in the SWAC tournament. And it's just unfortunate. They're going to get some sort of bid as well. The women's invitation tournament or the WNIT. It looks like it's going to be the other one. Let's
talk about that for a second because I want to find out, Liv, what are you seeing or what are you reading, hearing about where Southern end up in a first 4 contest or what they call the first round for the women's tournament, or will they be able to move through as a 15 or 16 seed?
I don't see them being put as a 15 simply because they finished 4th in the conference play regular season. I could see the NCAA being like, oh, you had 2 P4 wins. We're going to put you as just the straight 16 seed then. We're not even going to give you the playing game because you beat 2 Big 12 teams. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's what I feel like they're about to do. And they're probably going to give them LSU in the first round just because of proximity and it's right there. So while those wins were phenomenal, I could see the committee who makes these decisions being like, they're better than a playing game. Because they have those wins, we're going to put them against a number 1, just a straight 16. But I never know what the committee is going to do. So for sure, there'll be a 16 in some shape, form, or fashion, because if you don't run through your conference in the MEAC and the SWAC, it's really difficult to get anything higher than a 16 seed. And I'm talking about like undefeated and like it's not close. Like what Norfolk State did last year, how they were just whooping everybody. And then they finally got put a little bit higher. So yeah, a 16, but I could see the NCAA going in that way of being like, well, you got the win, so now here you go.
Now, as it relates to other postseason opportunities, we've seen in the men's side, we've seen, I think we've seen some other invitations for the NIT. I know we haven't gotten to talking about the MEAC just yet. But is there an opportunity? Alabama A&M, it seems to be there was a lot of early posts being put out there from the WNIT. But then there's another tournament. What is, and I know it's kind of been talked about, still no official word from Alabama A&M in terms of which postseason opportunity.
So the WBIT's announcement is at 8 p.m. tonight. So it happens at the same time as the March Madness for the women. Last year, North Carolina A&T played in the WBIT. I believe they played at Virginia Tech. And most teams are now, I think, going to choose the if you're offered a chance to play in the WBIT, they're going to choose that over the WNIT because we had the 2 automatic qualifiers, which was Alcorn State and then University of Maryland Eastern Shore. And the fact that Alabama A&M wasn't announced as the automatic qualifier because they lost in the semis makes me believe that they got the offer to play in the WBIT.
Why was Alcorn State a WNIT qualifier, Charles?
Because they finished second. So just like UMES finished second and Howard won. But I think A&M was offered, and this is just my assumption, and they turned it down to be in the WBIT, and that's what went to the 2nd seed, which was Alcorn.
Okay.
Yeah, we just based on it, I just started following the WBIT the other day. So Alabama A&M qualifies for the WBIT. And so whether or not they accept that bid or not, I don't know. But we are in the WNIT. That's definite. I was talking with Nate Kilbert at the beginning of the tournament. He actually got a call about some sort of postseason being the number 2 seed. It was just a matter of the BIT tournament or the WNIT. But we're going to the WNIT. So that announcement is going to be coming up here soon, and we'll see where we go. We believe it's going to be somewhere close. We hope it is. But you talked about the men's NIT.
It's real different. It's real interesting that on the women's side, the 2 postseason tournaments if I was doing back a little bit of the history, the WNIT came actually after the WBIT, which was the first invitational. Then all of a sudden, they came along with the NIT, the women's NIT, which is the women's version of the NIT or whatever. It's the NCAA run. Because the WBIT is a non-NCAA run event, if I'm saying this correctly from what I read.
No, I read up on it. The WBIT is a sanctioned NCAA.
No, I didn't mean sanctioned. I mean it is actually like the NIT is run by the NCAA. Yes. They took it over. It is no longer. It used to be an independent operation. Now the NCAA runs it.
Yes.
And they run the women's NIT as well.
Yeah.
Right. So what I meant was the WBIT was actually an independent run NCAA sanctioned postseason event, which I think started back in like 2000. And so that is the one that has the, I guess, respect, maybe for lack of a better word, among programs, or maybe the better affiliations. I don't know. But see, it's interesting how in women's basketball, you have two postseason tournaments for teams to choose.
Yeah.
But in the men's, you got teams that are literally ducking out. They're ducking out before the announcements are even made. They're like, "Hey, we're not going to commit to, our kids are on spring break and there's no NIL." That's what they're really saying. They're like, you can't get some of these men's teams to go play.
Or it's the kids have already entered, they're going in the portal and they're like, we don't even want to play postseason with you. We're moving on so we can figure out what our next step is. I think it's a lot of that, because kids, as the season progresses, so when Alcorn State lost their game, someone in the presser asked Coach Morton about how do you he was asking about the transfer portal, and Jamil Morris said, they asked him a specific question. He said, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet next year. And so that's what you're getting from kids is a lot of them want to shop their options, what's out there. And right when the season ends, they're doing that. They're like, oh, okay, coaches have been in my DMs. Let me see what's happening over there. So I think a lot of teams can't even have a roster to participate at this point.
Yeah. A&T Roy is telling me that the WBIT is the NCAA run postseason and the WNIT is not. So, okay. I knew one of them was and one of them wasn't. I do know the WBIT was around longer before the WNIT came around, I think the last 10, 15 years.
And I didn't really know what the WBIT was about. Excuse me on that. I just didn't know until I just started following them the other day, and I just kind of got more information on it. So, we're going to be in the WNIT. That announcement is forthcoming on the women's side. Now, on the men's side, you talked about the NIT. Then there's this other tournament, the CBI, and there was a post that came out the other day that said, due to circumstances beyond their control, it's been canceled. So, the NIT. I was told, and we've been in 2 NITs recently, but they tightened up the requirements. You got to do better non-conference. I don't think we're going to get an NIT bid this year, and it's going to be tough to get that. Maybe Liv can chime in on that, but that's kind of what I've been told about it. So I don't see.
And I haven't heard anything about Bethune-Cookman possibly getting at large in the NIT. Doesn't seem that's going to happen.
Yeah. I thought the CBI was a good option. I know Coach Pettaway was kind of a part of that committee back, but that's a tough situation because you want to reward your regular season champion with something, and just the WNIT unless they change their deal. And again, that's the only thing that I've been told, that it's highly unlikely that we'll get any sort of NIT bid on the men's side, which is unfortunate because you're going to have 2 women's teams in it, but just 1 men's team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's some official news. They just flashed it up and I saw it related to the first 4 and the official times and dates.
That went fast.
Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here it is. The first 4 on Tuesday. The first game is a 16 seed matchup between UMBC and Howard. Of course, Howard, a great season in the MEAC, 26-7, but somehow due to, I don't know what, Liv, conference ratings, they are going to be playing in against UMBC. Also on that Tuesday, the 11 seed matchup between Texas and NC State. Then on Wednesday, another 16 seed matchup between Prairie View A&M and Lehigh. That will be followed by Miami of Ohio versus SMU on Wednesday. So those are the first 4 games, March 17th and 18th in Dayton, Ohio. So Howard University, Prairie View A&M, let's go do what you do. let's go get some dubs. I think the Howard UMBC, that'll be an interesting game. Northeast, Baltimore, DMV, that whole area, they'll be buzzing about that game.
Mhm.
And then hopefully Prairie View can stay hot and against Lehigh. All right. Liv, let's jump over to the MEAC. The MEAC has become Howard Basketball Athletic Conference. The HBAC is what the MEAC has become, as the Howard men and Howard women get it done. Of course, Kenneth Blakeney wins his third in the last 4 years for Howard. And then on the women's side, Howard ends the 3-year reign of Norfolk State, in which, if you think about it, since North Carolina A&T left the MEAC, the last 5 years it has been either Howard. Well, actually, in the championship game, it's been Howard versus Norfolk State the last 5 years in each game. Of course, Norfolk State was going for the 4-peat, but Howard won. What is your evaluation of? I thought Howard has been the most dominant. I text, look, Charles. Sometimes I got to text Liv to get the insider info. Liv, what was it? I text you and said, "Hey, Liv, is there any chance, like a small smidgen of a margin, that Howard's men can lose?" Liv, what'd you tell me?
No.
I ran to the bank. I gave 11 points on Howard. And sure enough, it came home for me, Charles. Because Liv said Howard's been beating people by 20 plus all season, which they have. How impressed are you with Howard men, just on both sides, the men and women's program, Liv? How impressed are you?
Yeah, so I think the Howard men started off rough in the MEAC. They dropped those 3 games, and then after they lost to Morgan State, that completely woke them up, and they started putting belt to everyone. Like, I'm talking about, they were winning by 25, 30 points against everybody. They're almost the entire rest of the way. I think the last game against Norfolk State of the regular season was kind of close, but when you had Bryce Harris, who is a seasoned veteran within the conference, he knows the layout. I think he jumped in his skill from last year to this year before he got hurt, because he only appeared in so many games. But then they brought in Cedric Taylor III, who, in my opinion, easily could have swept. He was newcomer of the year, defensive player of the year, and he easily could have been player of the year as well. He came in, so they had 2 big guards. Ed's a forward guard. We know they didn't win by 20 yesterday. That was the regular season. So then they had players around them who were really good. Cam Gillis, their point guard, he really started shining and was huge. Also Koji, he made a tremendous jump throughout the season and was truly needed. And then they had Travell, who came off the bench. He's a sophomore, and he, as the season progressed, he really grew. So Coach Blakeney, their in-season development and adjustments that they made is the reason why Howard had so much success. And I think everyone was just like, yeah, we know it's theirs. At one point I was like, there's no one even competing with them right now. Like, it's literally their show. And I think it was their time, and they looked really, really phenomenal. So I'm excited to see how they compete against UMBC in that first 4. And then for the women, as we said, for the past 5 years, it's been the same matchup between Howard and Norfolk State. I will say UMES made it a little spicy this year, because in the first go round, they beat both of those teams. And so the second one was even more important. UMES was a super strong team. That game against Norfolk State in the semis was close. But it was Ty Grace's time. We saw how good they were in the non-conference. They went on the road in Cincinnati and beat them. They had some super competitive games against high majors, and she's a phenomenal coach. She's been there for 10 years. I'm praying they can keep her, but they looked really good. Norfolk State definitely put up a fight. That was a gritty game, but they went in the portal and they recruited exactly what they needed in order to place people around Zanaya Thomas, their post player, who was MEAC Player of the Year. So hats off to them for doing it. Really started in the recruitment process. Like what they brought in fit exactly what the team needed. And so it was super, super amazing job by both of those teams. And they were one of few, I think it was, someone made a post. It was like only 6 teams where they're at the Division I level where they're men and women both won both. So the regular season and the tournament.
And let me correct, because I know when I say things, people get all personal with stuff. I text Liv on Friday
before games
happened. It was 11-point spread on Friday for Howard. I said, is there any chance South Carolina State can be close? Liv said, hell to the no. I jumped on the 11 points. They beat them by 17. In the championship game, I played the under in the Howard North Carolina Central game. Cash that ticket. So back off of me. I know how to play these games. I know who to talk to, right? All right, look, y'all can jump on me all you want when FAMU loses, and they lost, and I took an L. But trust me, I came out good. Let's go to some live. Let's quickly go live in-game, Liv, because we got some action happening in the Division II. This is North Carolina, this is Virginia Union. This is North Carolina, Virginia Union. Excuse me, why did you say North Carolina? Virginia Union just went up 2 points on IUP. All right, I'm gonna pause it there, because if I go any further, then I'll start getting blocked by social media here. And then I know coming down on the ensuing trip, IU got fouled at the free throw line.
They made one. It's 55 with 3.4 seconds left.
They only made one of the two?
They're in. I don't know if he called a timeout after that, but they're currently in a timeout.
All right, hold on.
But shout out to Virginia Union and Winston-Salem State. They're the only last 2 Division II teams dancing right now. Winston-Salem State already made it to the Sweet 16 of the national tournament. So, and they won both of their games by double digits, like over 15 points, both contests.
Okay, coach called the timeout in between the two. So this is the second one by IUP. He made it. 5.4 seconds. We're going to overtime. All right, going to overtime. Virginia Union and the IU of Pennsylvania, Indiana University, Pennsylvania. This is to advance to the region. Well, this is to the regional final game. Mm-hmm. So this is the second round game. And of course, Virginia Union got a win in the opening round by shutting down the number 1 or number 2 offense in the nation.
They kept them 52 points below their average. That's insane. Yeah. But also, Virginia Union is ranked number 1 defensively in the NCAA. So they're true to this. They were like, we can't go out the first round.
Yeah. All right. In terms of Howard's women, where do you think Howard's? Well, we already talked. No, Howard's women. Where will Howard's women be seated, Liv? Where do you think? What does it look like for them?
I feel like their resume is good enough to be a 15 seed. The only thing that worries me is they did lose to UMES, and that will be kind of held against them. I believe they're at least a 15 seed, but I just never know. I always say that. I never know what the NCAA is going to do, and I don't know how other mid-major conferences played out. So it's hard to say, like, if those number 1s went down, then I think it bumps them up into a 15. But I don't know, because they had every single win Howard had this season was against a Division I school. They didn't even compete against a D2 or an NAIA, which I think speaks to the strength of their schedule. They weren't ducking any smoke. They also have a win over Fairfield. That's the name of school, who's ranked in the top 25 currently, not mid-major, the AP
national
top 25.
National rankings, right.
They beat them. And so I believe their strength of schedule, including a P4 win, is strong enough to move them up. the not playing any D2s or NAIA speaks volumes, I think, to the NCAA, and they were like 20. I think they finished 26-7. That's a phenomenal record against all Division I opponents. So I'm hoping they're at least a 15, but the NCAA likes to play games, so you never know.
All right. So the women's bracket should be coming out in about an hour. Real quick, before, because I don't want to hold Liv, because I know Liv's got some tweeting to do, and she's got some other stuff that she's got to do out there, because Liv, no one keeps folks abreast of what's going on in HBC basketball better than Liv. And some of y'all folks out there who continue to try her, man, I have no idea what y'all you don't know what you're doing out there. Just stop. Just stop coming at Liv like she's not out here promoting for these kids, promoting for these programs, speaking power and truth to light. I mean, come on now, stop it. And when y'all see these folks come at Liv, you just go ahead and hit them, reply back and be like, yo, back up. You have no idea what you're talking about. You might be new to this space. Back off of Liv. Liv is doing a great job, Liv. So when I need to find out some info, I go to Liv for Hoops on social media. That's where I go. You know what I say? Live for hoops or die lonely. All right, so going over to the real quick, and the Division II side, as we just talked about, Virginia Union getting a 52-46 win. They are currently in overtime right now in their second round matchup against Indiana, Pennsylvania. Winston-Salem State, the Lady Rams. At first I thought it was Stephen Gaither trolling me, telling me to pay attention to this team. But I am paying attention to this team. They are bad. They are, bad, like fierce, really, really good. They took out two teams in the NCAA first and second round. Glenville State in the first round, 88-71. Then I was really keyed in watching the game last night against the 2 seed Gannon, 67-48.
And Gannon is a powerhouse in Division II women's basketball. Just dominant. And, shout out to Coach Tierra Terry. Her first year leading Winston-Salem State, gets a co-regular season title, wins the CIAA, sets a school record for most wins in a single season, sets the school record for the longest win streak, and then she gets their first ever NCAA win and follows it up with a 19-point victory over powerhouse Gannon. Like, they really, I'm not joking, and I'm not just saying this, they really have what it takes to continue on. And we need to just, they're really, really, really good.
You think they can really make a dominant run in this thing? You think they've got all the everything they need to really make a run?
They do. My only question of concern is obviously they have Maya Charles, she's a great post player, only a sophomore. She's going to turn into, and she already is, but she's going to turn into an all-star. My fear is that if they face a team who has multiple dominant post players, they could potentially get into some trouble, because we've seen games where Maya's had to go to the bench. But with their defense, I don't think many teams have guards who can get past the pressure that Winston-Salem State puts out. Their ability to just wreak havoc on opposing guards and cause so much pressure that leads to easy turnovers, and it always translates to buckets, is next level. That's where it starts. Their guards' pressure on the ball is why we see Winston have so much success. It's really crazy. It's next level. She's going to get a contract. I would sign her for as long as she wanted. I put it in there. I don't want to be here.
Hey, look, I watch what she's doing, Liv, and I know she's at the Division II level. I mean, are there some Division I programs that should be salivating? I mean, we just seen one program in the SWAC already cut their coach, Bethune-Cookman, cut their coach after 5 seasons. I mean, should some Division I schools, programs be contacting Coach Terry?
I think they will be. ADs have no problem shooting their shot. They're if they see something that they like, and mind you, this is what she's done in 1 season. One. So, and they had like those donation things going. They raised the women's program specifically over $25,000. It well exceeded that amount because she was winning. When you have a winner, here, take all my money. So I'm sure there's ADs, especially in that region, who have already been, if she has an agent, already hitting up her agent or contacting her directly of, what do we have to do to get you here? With the Bethune job, I think there's a lot of Division II coaches who are going to go after that job. Or that I don't know, because Reggie Theus is in 2 capacities. So I don't want to speak on, what his time, how, you guys get what I'm saying. Like, I just
I
don't
do,
know.
yeah. How that works. Yeah.
So one sec. Just be but I think there's people who will be great in that job, but for sure her phone's probably blowing up since they hit that mark of 16 in a row.
Right. So the third seeded Lady Rams will play the number 1 seed Indiana, Pennsylvania. The same program that Virginia Union men are playing right now. That game will be tomorrow. Tip-off is scheduled for 7:00. I put a link in for you guys in the chat to go watch the overtime of the Virginia Union. The beautiful thing about the NCAA, all these games are available, and you don't have to pay for them. All you got to do is give them your email address and go watch. So, I mean, it's a beautiful thing that the NCAA does at the Division II level. So there you go. You're welcome. Make sure we lock in and support the Lady Rams tomorrow night, 7:00, right there on NCAA. Look, so we already know we're booked for Monday, right? We're watching the Lady Rams. We're booked for Tuesday. We're watching Howard.
Yep.
We're booked for Wednesday. We're watching Prairie View. We don't know when the first 4 is going to happen for Southern or possibly Howard women. We're going to wait to see tonight. The other program that's still dancing right now in the NAIA, Langston University. The Langston, one of my favorite coaches, Coach Chris Wright, for the 4th consecutive year, he has got Langston to the round of 16 in the NAIA as they won 2 games over the weekend. They were hosting in Langston in Oklahoma. 73-65 win in the first round over Bethel of Tennessee. A little closer game than they probably wanted. And then in the second round, just wiped the floor with Eastern Oregon, 86-59.
Yep.
Now, in the round of 16, they take on the number 1 ranked, number 1 seeded Oklahoma Wesleyan in Kansas City, Missouri on, the 20th is Friday, Friday, March 20th. And hey, how exciting is this game going to be? Langston beat them very early in the season. I know it's, back in November, everybody was a different team back then, right? But the fact that you have played them, you beat them, Langston beat them 73-70. Woo, I'm excited. It's going to be a great week of basketball, Liv. I'm excited. I know you are.
I know. I live for this, especially March. I think it's going to be, I always want to see our HBCU teams succeed, and it's just great basketball all around. So, I mean, that game should be really good. And as a reminder, Langston men have been ranked in the top 10 nationally the entire year. So that's going to be, I'm still stuck on 2 years ago when they had that heartbreaking loss in the championship game. Like, I still want that back, and I know they do too. But Chris Wright has done a phenomenal job over the past few years at Langston, and he did the same when he was at Talladega. So he's new to this, not new to this. But everyone should tune in because that streams for free too on Urban Edge Network. So all NAIA games you can watch for free. Like not a subscription or anything. You can just go on there on the app or the web page and just click it for free. So
it is the toughest challenge we will have this week is figuring out where True TV is, where TBS and TNT is, networks that we don't watch during the year. Somehow we have to find these networks. I don't know. I have no idea. Good luck to us all. Good luck to us all trying to find these games.
Yeah.
All right, Liv. I know you got to run. So I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead, Liv, Charles.
Can I say something to both of you, Liv as well as you? I follow Alcorn and the SWAC, but what you guys do with these other conferences, the MEAC and the D2 and the NAIA, is absolutely amazing. I feel bad that I can't really follow those programs. I probably should a little bit, but you all do a hell of a job with that. Both of you. And you ought to be commended for it, because you all keep up with all that stuff. And I'm like, man, they're on it. You all are on it. Good, great stuff here.
Thank you.
Look, I'm thankful Liv came around. That's all. I made my job a lot easier.
Yes,
every day I can I lift up in prayer Liv every day. I praise her whenever I can. I'm like, Lord Jesus, thank you for bringing Liv into my life, because I don't have to try to hunt these games. I got somebody who loves the game, knows the game, and man, Liv is going to talk about it. And all I got to do is hit her up and say, hey, Rattler, what's up? That's all I got to do. So. All right, Liv, final words. I'll give you some final shout outs here. And then we'll take a break, and Charles and I will come up in the second half. But I want to give you a chance to get some final thoughts or words in here before we close out with you.
I would just say congrats to all the seasons across D1, D2, NAIA that made it to, their respective national tournaments. That's amazing. And I really want to emphasize the quality we saw across SWAC men's basketball this year. I'm going to keep saying it. The talent we had, every single team had at least one person they could be like, go get me a bucket right now. We saw so much development. That's why when people are like, oh my gosh, while I think Prairie View shocked people, I was saying 1 through 9 could have won the title, and I would have been like, okay. Mm-hmm. So that's how competitive this men's season was. All of them were beating each other. Besides, Alcorn had some quality wins too. They beat Bethune. So, it was the talent this year was next level. I'm so excited for next year. And I also want to shout out the work that Coach Erica Leak did at UAPB, the turnaround she did in 1 year. Last year, they only won 1 conference game. Okay. 1. This year, they won 10. They finished 1 game below 500, clinched the 7th seed. She got her first postseason win in just her 2nd year. She has done a phenomenal job. And also, shout out to Johnetta Hayes, she's familiar with the SWAC because she used to run it when she was at Texas Southern. But to take a team who finished in 11th place last year, clinched the 3rd seed outright, and get to the championship game in just year 1. Phenomenal work. I think the coaching on the women's side was great this year. So, I think we're moving in such a fantastic place, because the men's side just was like, it was off the charts this year. Seriously. So good luck to all the teams. Make sure you're tuned in this year. And it takes nothing to share the team's content, to engage with the team's content. So make sure you're doing that across all socials. So these amazing creative directors who put in the work, that their work is being appreciated and the team feel like they're being appreciated too. It's very simple. Okay. And that's all.
Well said. Make sure you're following at Live for Hoops on all your social media handles. I know she'll be tweeting the storm up tonight, so make sure you're locked in after we get off the air and get all the info. Liv will probably be doing some great breakdowns of the matchups and all that good stuff. When we come back after the break, Charles and I will kind of catch up. We'll look and see what's going on with this Virginia Union IUP game. My God, this game is going nuts right now. We'll talk about that and more on the other side. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan for Charles Edmond. That's Live for Hoops. We'll be back after these words.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Brian Fulford, Charles Edmond here with you. Of course, you can catch Charles every Saturday as part of the panel with Carlos Brown, Saturday at noon Eastern, 11 Central, where Carlos, Charles, Coach Petway, and A.D. Wheeler-Brown always bring you their insightful commentary on HBCU sports, SWAC, Southern, all of it. Good stuff. Well, as we look at the Division II matchup happening right now, Virginia Union is down 62-60, 12 seconds remaining. They had to commit a foul here. I missed what happened, whether there was a offensive foul or something happened on the Virginia Union possession where they were trying to tie the game up. Now IUP is up 3 after making the first free throw with 12 seconds left. This is a big free throw coming up right here. Virginia Union looking to advance. I believe Virginia Union won a tournament game back in 23. He made the second. So now Virginia Union is down 4 with 12 seconds. Man. Tough one. It's overtime games, Charles, man. I tell you, it's tough. So Virginia Union inbounding on the baseline, going for hopefully a quick 2. A little rub play, pull up 3-pointer, no good. They're going to say it's a foul. Well, who are they going to call a foul on? They're going to call a foul, a blocking foul called against IUP. So that's going to send Virginia Union to the line with 5 seconds to go, down 4. I don't know, Charles. This is one of those situations where you probably make what? You probably go for both free throws and then
you
foul
make
quickly.
2. Yeah, you make 2. You got to get a 5-second call. If they get it in, you got to foul immediately. And it's a free throw game at this point.
All right, first free throw is good. Virginia Union is down 1. Down 3. This is important free throw because you cut it to 2, force a turnover, or a tie up and a foul.
A 5-second call.
Yeah, 5 seconds. Okay, second free throw is good. IU comes in trying to quickly inbound. They do inbound it, and Union quickly fouls.
Yeah.
I give IUP credit. At least, most teams kind of are slow to inbound the ball. They actually were pretty quick about inbounding the ball. I've also seen some bad turnovers.
You'll be surprised, Brian, how often teams practice that situational. We talk about situational football. That situational basketball. You can't afford to. And what you probably do is teams spread the floor, make you chase, and take another second or 2 off because all that matters. So they were able to dump it in, foul quickly, and it comes a free throw game at this point.
All right, first of 2 free throws is good. It's a 3-point ball game. IUP's second free throw, 4.2 seconds is good. 4.2 seconds, timeout's called. And there's no advancing the ball, Charles. What do you think about that rule? The women's game allows for the advancing of the ball in college. The men don't have that rule. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't answer you on that one.
well, I mean, are you in favor of it? Do you like
I actually, I mean, if we're gonna replicate what the NBA does, and if you have a timeout to advance the ball, I think you should be able to do that on the men's side. I mean, if we're gonna go to a 24-second shot clock and we're trying to replicate what the NBA is doing, then I think if you have a timeout, you have an opportunity to advance the ball. I think you should have the opportunity to do that. That should be a rule. On the women's side, yes. On the men's side, I think it should be that way as well. Maybe it will happen at some point, but I agree with you.
Well, okay. So Blue Jacket, you either have a great Wi-Fi signal and you're ahead of us, or you are in the building. One of the two. Quick inbound by Union. 3-point shot is no good, and that's the ball game. Final score, IUP 66, Virginia Union 62, and their season is over.
Good play, Brian.
Oh, well, thank you. I can't quite make out numbers, not really familiar with them. But it was what it was.
Yeah.
I got it. Lennon Blow. I love you, Lennon. Lennon, do you understand who Dr. Graville is? Do you understand, Lennon? You're trying to be funny. Do you understand who Dr. Graville is in the spectrum of PV athletics? First off, he is an alum. Secondly, he is a major sponsor, contributor to the athletic program at Prairie View. And as a member of the media, when if Doc is in the building, just know, there's something good happening. So don't try to be extra, Lennon. Put it like this: all the people that I saw running on the court. Hey, Charles, I seen so many people holding
that happens. That happens all the time, Brian. I mean, you have people that are fence riders who, when they're losing, you don't see them. Crickets, as Carlos talked about yesterday, and then when you win, all of a sudden they come out of the woodwork. There's nothing you can do about it. Everybody loves a champion, Brian. Everybody. So if you're a PVU fan sitting on the sidelines, they win the SWAC tournament. Now you're the biggest PVU fan out there. So I have no problems with it. It's just what fandom is all about to me.
Anyway, maybe one day, maybe one day when Florida A&M can not leave shooters open and we can get to the championship game, or maybe one day I will hold a SWAC championship trophy and take photos with the trophy when FAMU wins the SWAC. I feel like it's coming one day with Charlie Ward. I feel like it's coming.
It is. And Charlie Ward has done a terrific job at Florida A&M. I thought just my own personal Charles Edmond opinion, I thought they should have kept Coach Carey, but that's neither here nor there. He winds up at Grambling and kind of has a tough way to go out the last part of the season. He got some work to do. But Charlie Ward, his demeanor to me is impressive. I haven't seen him yell or scream or anything. I mean, he's very even-keeled, very level-headed, and I think his team plays that way. I mean, that was a hell of a shot that Southern made. FAMU was right there. So you got to give Charlie Ward a lot of credit. He did overachieve because I don't think anyone expected, FAMU to be where they ended up. So I think, the future is bright there in Tallahassee. You got Quinn Gray as football coach. He was at Alcorn for a season as quarterback's coach. I think everybody likes Quinn Gray, and hopefully he'll do well. Charlie Ward with men's basketball. Now, women's basketball, that's a whole nother story. But I think, for those two sports, I think the future is bright.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, first off, he won. He had last year, Crary won 10 games, and we were an 8 seed, or I think an 8 seed, or 7 seed possibly. Charlie will, and he got a tournament. He got a tournament win. Okay, but this year we had to do better. The team won 11 conference wins.
Yep.
And we got a 2 seed, right? Yep. So, and we won our opening game. So I look at it definitely a preseason predicted 8th.
Yep.
It was an improvement. I'll bite my lip on all the other stuff because that was a brutal game. It's a tough game to watch, but I mean, just think about that day for Southern. Look, I'm gonna talk about how fun it must have been for our good friend Carlos Brown, right? On the same day. Now, I mean, look, we live for these moments as fans when we have these kind of days, but to see not only your women's team win a game on a baseline jump shot with 1 second left against the number 1 overall seed to start the day, then you end the night with a big time 3-point bucket with, 0.6, 0.5 seconds left, and your men beat the 2 seed. I mean, hell, that was, short of what could have happened the next day, that's probably the best day of Southern basketball maybe all year. I don't know, over the last, well, obviously not last year. Well, I don't know, but in a while, who knows? It was a great day for Southern, by the way. So, and they almost pulled off the double-double, Charles. Almost pulled off the double-double.
Well, I have a stat for you on that, Brian. You like to dig up information?
Okay, yeah. What we got?
Do you know how many times in this conference that the men and women's teams have won SWAC tournament championships? How many times has that happened? It has happened. Do you know how many? Can you remember?
Are we talking just the tournament era? What give me a time frame. Give me a time frame.
20 years.
Okay, so this century, 20 years. That the women and men, let me see. Okay, so I feel safe in saying that it has not happened in this expansion era. The SWAC 12 era hasn't happened.
Right.
I believe it happened one time with Texas Southern. I'm going to say 3 times, Charles. 3 times it's happened.
It has happened twice.
See, that's where I was thinking twice, but I said let me risk it and throw a third. Was I right about Texas Southern being one of them though?
Yes.
Okay.
The other one, Southern University, back Rob Spivery was the coach and Sandy Pugh was the coach that particular year. They men and women. It's only in the history as far as record keeping, it's only happened twice, and the records go back to the 80s. So in the last 40 years, it has only happened twice.
Now, I'm gonna show this up here. This is the final bracket. Obviously, we know how the bracket played out with Prairie View. Prairie View winning the men's tournament and the football championship in the SWAC.
Yeah.
Do you know? I'll throw a trivia question at you, Charles. When's the last time that was done?
Football
and basketball.
And
men's basketball. Last time that was done.
Oh, let's see. Willie Simmons and no, not at
you guys in the chat room. Let me hear you guys. When was so here's the question on the floor to all of you in the chat. Let's see who can come up with it first. The last time that a SWAC school won the football championship and the men's basketball championship in the same academic season.
Okay. So Alcorn, no. Can't cancel that one. Jackson, no. Valley, no.
I'll give you a hint. It has been in this century.
Grambling?
No. You ready for this?
Yeah.
According to my research now, and I hope I'm not wrong, because but check me. Alabama A&M, 2004, 2005.
That's 20 years.
Now,
So
Drew said Grambling 16. I don't know if it was Grambling 16. Is that what you were thinking? Grambling 2016. Now again, I'm talking conference tournament. I'm not talking about regular season title. I'm talking about the conference tournament.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have. I mean, just now we're talking about men's basketball and football, or football
men's
and
basketball. Yeah, it couldn't have been 2016 because Mike Davis and Texas Southern won 2016, Drew. So it wasn't 2016.
Men's basketball. So that's right. I'm going down the list as far as the schools are concerned. So I knew it wasn't going to be Grambling. A&M, that goes back a while. So
2004.
Who was the football? I can't remember who was the football coach.
Hold on. Let me dig out my research information.
Coach
here.
Petaway? No.
That's what I was going to wonder. When was Petaway? When was Coach Petaway at? Alabama A&M won the SWAC championship in football over Arkansas Pine Bluff 22-13, December 11th, 2004. And men's basketball defeated Alabama State 72-53.
That same back. So I wonder who was the coach then.
That was Petway. It was Petway. It was Coach.
Yeah, coach.
It was Coach.
Okay.
That's why I thought you might get it. That's why I wanted to throw it out there. I wanted to get
that one. Yeah. That I wouldn't have put that. I wouldn't have put 2 and 2 together to make that 4. But yeah.
But that was the that was the last time that a SWAC school won the football and men's basketball championship in the SWAC. The championship sweep.
Right.
Wow. Now, yeah. So I just thought there's a little known SWAC trivia question for you.
Excellent. Yeah, I did not know that, because it has been a while for A&M. Obviously with, and I would just say in the COVID year with Aquil Glass, football, but they obviously didn't do it in basketball. That's why I kind of eliminated A&M, but that's been recently. That was during the COVID era. So right. that was beyond my memory.
Let's do this. Let's grade some performances from what we saw in the SWAC tournament, Charles. Now, here's what I do find interesting. Despite the fact that the tournament had 12 teams in it, we still only ended up with the top 8 seeds in the quarterfinals. Did you find that kind of interesting, that we did not end up with a 9 through 12 in the quarterfinals?
No, I'm not surprised. It is so hard for teams in that bracket 9 through 12. I mean, you're playing back to back to back. And so what you saw was that teams won that first game, like Alcorn, like Valley, but then coming back on the second night of the back-to-back, didn't get it done there. So I'm not surprised at the bottom that any of the bottom 4 not making it. That is just so hard. Short turnaround time. The regular season ended Thursday. You got to get to Atlanta. Got to get your 30 minutes of practice. I mean, that's really hard. I mean, you get by the first game, but that second game, especially that third, if you can get to it, it just makes it brutal. So I'm not surprised. I thought Bryan, that, and I didn't say this on Carlos's show last week, and I know hindsight's always 20/20, but it was on my mind. I thought the Prairie View Panthers, as the 8th seed on the men, were probably the most dangerous seed because of what we talked about, the way they played, how good they were down the stretch, and the fact that they could just sit back and watch Alcorn and Alabama State knock each other off, and you're just kind of sitting in the cut, and they just happen to continue to stay hot. So that 8th seed, you don't want to be in the bottom 4. You would love to be in the top 2. with the double bye, and that conversation needs to be had, because you had, the teams that were in the double bye, you thought rest, you thought that, and Nate Kilbert even said, in his opinion, the tournament is set up for teams with the double bye to win the whole thing, and we didn't get that. And so I wonder, even though it's a small sample size, just year one, I wonder, does that help or hurt those teams who got the double bye?
Well, I think that, okay, so there's a couple things that I thought as it relates to rest versus rust, right? I think in each case, right, I thought Prairie View and Jackson State seemed to jump on top of their opponent who just played, meaning Alcorn had just played the day before, Grambling had played just before, right? And I thought both teams jumped on their opponent. But what I found interesting is by the quarterfinals time, I thought Florida A&M was not sharp against Jackson State, especially in the first half. And Bethune-Cookman definitely was not sharp in the first half against Prairie View. And so, hey, teams that had just, come in with a day under their belt, even though FAMU beat Jackson State, and I think that was a product more so of Jackson State's legs kind of gave out on them late in that second half against Florida A&M. And I wonder if Jackson State would have had their player of the year in Ruffin, what that FAMU might have been in trouble if Ruffin had played that game. And fortunately, he wasn't there. Unfortunately for Bethune-Cookman, nobody from Prairie View was hurt, and they lit Bethune-Cookman up.
Yeah.
So that now in the next round, I thought the overtime game by Alabama A&M really hurt them against Prairie View, and Prairie View had it done. Now that is the thing that I found interesting. The teams that had to play Thursday going up against a team that had a day off, right? It worked out well for Prairie View because A&M had just played, not only an emotional game, 23 in a row, Charles. My God. Just overcoming that and then having to do it in an extra 5 minutes, that had to expend a lot of energy. And then you have to turn around and play at 11 o'clock the next morning or at 2 o'clock, less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
And FAMU just didn't look sharp against. FAMU did not look sharp, even with the day off. They did not look sharp. Southern looked sharp.
Yeah.
And it took FAMU until the second half to actually wake up.
Yeah.
And then you're in a battle for your life. And we saw how it played out.
Well, I want to kind of comment that Dr. Cavill mentioned that the format, the double bye, and I think I've heard coaches refer to it as he says it's not referred to it as a double bye. But I guess the advantage that you have in being the 1 or 2 seed, having not to play until either you play Wednesday, Friday, Saturday as compared to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think that's to me is huge. And I know people are going to say it's a bunch of excuses for the teams that don't get it done. Just go out and play. I see those comments, and that's absolutely true. But I also would say that if you don't have a lot of time between the regular season, this is probably another excuse, but the season ended on Thursday. Teams got to Atlanta on Sunday, and some teams played on Wednesday and or Thursday. So there was the proper amount of rest if you got there Sunday, if you played on Wednesday or Thursday. I think that, again, it's a small sample size, but I'm anxious to get the coaches' comments. Even FAMU, the path that they took. You play Thursday, Friday, Saturday to get there, or Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. I think Prairie View had the benefit of Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and I think that helped them in a way, because they could watch that Alcorn Alabama State game, which I'm sure they did. They played Wednesday and then they were off until Friday. But look, FAMU. We see that when you get into that overtime and you get deep into it with the amount of minutes, it is really tough. Teams that can grind it out can grind it out. And I just think for Florida A&M, a lot of players played a lot of minutes, and it just kind of wore on them a little bit. So, I know we're going to talk about this, rest versus rust, whatever the case, just go out and play. All that is true. But I do think that when you have a team, now on the flip side, I think the Lady Jaguars played 3 days in a row. They played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, won the whole thing.
Right. There's the women's bracket right there. They played the quarterfinal on Thursday, went to the next round on Friday, and played on Saturday.
Right. So on the flip side, Southern got it done. And Southern had a big win down the stretch there in the last seconds, and the energy coming into that game. Southern beating Alabama A&M on Friday and then making it to the championship game. They're able to get that done. So, I mean, it works both ways. You win, you use it as fuel. You lose, you could use it as an excuse. So, I mean, I'm anxious to see where we go from here with that. But, I just learned something about the whole double bye story, because that's what I've heard coaches say, double bye. But as Dr. Cavill mentioned, maybe we need to reformat that a little bit. And that's fine in terms of how that works. But, this 12 teams, I think it's going to be interesting, because you saw the number 8 seed on the men's side win the tournament. And this has happened more than once. Texas Southern, I think the last year in Birmingham, if I'm not mistaken, they were at 8 seed when we had 8 teams, and they just got in under the wire and they won the tournament. And so on the women's side, you've had the number 1 get it done, and Southern University number 1, and they were number 3 or 4, and they won it. So it doesn't really matter, I think, once you get into the tournament in this league. And as Liv said, anybody could have won this thing, and I just think that makes this league more exciting, the fact that it's wide open. Now, some would say, and we've talked about it on Carlos's show, that the regular season champion should go to the NCAA tournament, and the heck with the tournament. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. And we talked about it, but I think it makes the tournament more exciting, and just the fact it's wide open. And if you just get hot for 3 or 4 days, you could hoist the trophy. And Prairie View was a great case in point in that.
We have, Lennon. We did mention the MEAC tournament, which of course was won by Howard University on both sides. Men and women took care of business. And then of course, Tennessee State, who won the OVC last weekend, has kind of got a chance to sit out all week, get a lot of well-deserved publicity, some attention. A lot of interviews I've seen with Coach Nolan Smith in a lot of different places. They earned themselves a 15 seed in the OVC, where they will play Iowa State. Let me try to pull up I'm going to pull up the bracket here. So that game I'll punch this up here and share. Iowa State comes in as a 2 seed, of course, out of the Big 12. And Tennessee State comes in as a 15 seed, winners of the Ohio Valley. And so, there's some, if you watch any of that Ohio Valley Conference championship game, Tennessee State was just on fire. They probably shot a career high in that championship game.
Yeah, and for Tennessee State, I'm glad they got the 15 seed. We keep talking about the play-in, the 16 versus 16. Obviously the committee had a lot of respect for what Tennessee State did to make them a 15. But look at what they have. Iowa State was one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 teams in the country for most of the year.
Yep.
And so, so when you're 16, you're a 15, you're going to get one of the top 8 teams in the country in that first, once you get out of that first 4. And then, we talked about Florida. We've seen that. And so Tennessee State getting a team that's top 10 in Iowa State. And that's why, I'll take the 15. You know, when we won it in '99, we were, I think, a 12 seed, 11 seed, but we had a great record, and we almost beat Stanford that year. And so that's the kind of thing I would like to see as a fan of the SWAC and HBCU, to try to get the highest seed possible, because we've seen these matchups go down. We've seen the higher seed go down, but it's just so hard when you're playing a team that's in the top 4, 5, 6, 7 in the country. It's so hard, especially when you got a game in front of you before you even get to that point. And so, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how Tennessee State does. I'm anxious to see what Howard does. You know, you talked about Norfolk State on the women's side. You know, that coach at Norfolk is at Auburn, and I saw him when we played Auburn, and he's kind of working to turn that program around there. So I'm glad to see that Norfolk has gotten back on the horse after losing a coach who was very successful there.
I see. I want to let everybody know real quick. I put in the chat room, join our BCSN SportsWrap Madness Challenge. I set up a bracket challenge via ESPN. It's one bracket, your sheet of integrity. See, this is another thing, Charles. When we used to have to write this thing down in the past, back in the day, you had to write it down. And I know some of you guys are going to write different brackets and all this stuff, but I've always said, the first bracket that you do is your sheet of integrity. That is the one. That is the bracket. I stole that phrase from somebody else, so that's not an original phrase, but it made sense, because what it means is that is the one that your first instincts, your first picks. That's the one that counts. Now, you do all these other offshoots because you get into different pools and all this stuff, and great, and you were wishy-washy about one team. So you're like, let me go ahead and do another bracket, blah, blah, blah. But no, the one sheet that you fill out, the very first sheet, that is your sheet of integrity. So that's why in the BCSN SportsWrap challenge there, and I put the link there in the chat, so I need all of you guys to go sign up and join us. One entry, one sheet, and there's no fee. Look, I thought about it, and I said, yeah, you know, maybe can I get people to, I'm not going to chase you guys for donations and all that stuff. We're just going to do one contest, right? Yeah. Now, if you're looking for something that you're a little more interested in, I set up a survivor contest, Charles, where look, this is interesting. Dig this. A survivor contest, $10 entry, winner take all. Here's the thing. In each round, you have to pick one winner in each round of the tournament, beginning Thursday, Friday. That's the first round, right? And if you survive, you advance. But you cannot use that team again. So, you know, there's a little bit of strategy to it, where eventually, you know, you got to basically pick 6 straight games. That's the thing. You got to pick 6 rounds correctly. And that's the one I set it up. I'll post it on my Twitter feed. If you're following me on social media at DRB365, it's a two sheet max entry, $10 to join. Winner takes all. Winner take all. You know, so I hope some of you will consider joining me in a survivor contest. But if you want to join the free bracket challenge, it's in the chat. It's on ESPN. So go join. I'll be tweeting it out later on in the show, so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, hey, when money's involved, it's a little bit more thought put into it. You're gonna throw your money down the drain. So I'm sure when you get into that $10 deal, people gonna put some thought into these games as compared to, you know, the other thing. You know, for me, I used to do a bracket a long time ago, and the first 2 hours of March Madness, I was done. I was out of it. I mean, so. But with some of the predictions I've made, if I just go ahead and fill it in, don't think about it, just go with this team, go with this team, go with that team, I may have a little bit more success. So maybe I ought to try that. Just don't think about it too much. Just go with your gut. You know, my mother used to say, go with your first mind. And so go with your first mind and just enroll with it on the brackets. I might do that this time.
There we go. Let me do a quick share screen to take a look at this Prairie View Lehigh. Do you know the mascot name for Lehigh, Charles? Any guesses for Lehigh?
I don't. I have no idea.
No guesses. Okay. They are the Mountain Hawks.
Mountain Hawks of Prairie View.
Lehigh.
Hawks of Lehigh, I'm sorry, versus the Prairie View Panthers.
Right. So this game will be on Wednesday. So Lehigh, this is the battle of 16 seeds. As you can see, they average 56.1 a game. Prairie View averaging 60.1. You can see the stats, season and team. They shoot just a little bit better from the three-point arc than Prairie View. Prairie View, the better free throw shooting team, it looks like. Rebounding, advantage Prairie View. The assist to turnover kind of goes more so just by a hair more in favor of Lehigh. Lehigh on the left. Prairie View almost even on assist to turnover. Steals and blocks advantage Prairie View. Just scrolling down through some of the they don't have any player. They got minutes. They don't really have any of their player percentages here. They don't have their points per game or anything, but this is off the NCAA website. So,
well, I will say this, Brian. The one thing, if you think about Prairie View in the past, they had been a defensive-minded team. Their lead assistant on that staff was a guy by the name of Landon Bussey, who left Prairie View, became our coach, and is now Chicago State. The one thing that surprised me about Prairie View this year, they are a veteran group, and they got some scorers. I never thought Byron Smith's team would be known as a scoring team, but they got some guys that can put the ball in the hole. If they can do that against Lehigh, if they get, I'll go this, and I said it yesterday, if Prairie View gets to 70, they're going to probably win the game, and they did. If they can do the same thing against Lehigh, and in the NCAA tournament, it does slow down a little bit. If they can get some scoring and push tempo, get the game in a track meet, I think they can beat Lehigh. I really do. And so I'm anxious to see, coming down off this high, and even though we've had success in this 16 versus 16 in the past, coming down off this high, and for Prairie View, it's kind of a new experience. It's going to be the key. You're probably celebrating with your fans right now at PVU, watching watching the selection. You know you're going to play. Now you got to buckle down, get on a plane, and head to Dayton. And just coming down off of that, I'm glad they're playing Wednesday because there are some games that are on Tuesday, and it's tough. It is really, really tough. I assume I know they probably flew back to Houston this morning or maybe late last night. I don't know, but you got to turn that thing around really quick and get over the whole SWAC thing. It's a whole nother level. I think they can beat Lehigh. And if those scores, if Horn, Joseph, Dunning, Lance Williams, if those guys are on offensively, I think Prairie View defensively can slow them down enough where we can win that game. And that's the first step. Now, going up against one of the best teams in the country in Florida, that's a whole nother story. We'll deal with that another day. But I think Lehigh, kind of slow, methodical. I think Prairie View can get up and down. And I think if they do that, if they do what they did in the SWAC tournament, I think they can beat Lehigh.
So here's a few things. I just did a quick little, little AI thing here to kind of see what I can pull up on Lehigh versus Prairie View. Lehigh with a record of 18-16 coming out of the Patriot League, where they were the 2 seed. Of course, it's noted here, Prairie View is one of the fastest teams in the country, ranking 8th nationally in adjusted tempo. Interesting. That's Prairie View. Lehigh has a 3-point shooting percentage of 36.5, more of a half-court offensive style. Lehigh has a kid, Nasir Whitlock, who averages 21 points per game, 3.4 assists per game. He was a first-team All-Patriot League, one of the top scorers. Of course, we all know Prairie View has Dante Horn, who averaged 20.2 a game. And Lehigh also has a kid, Hank Alvey, who averaged 15.7 rebounds. He was the Patriot League MVP. So he's more of a post player. Looks like the opening line spread says Lehigh will be a 1.5-point favorite, which means I'll be jumping on Prairie View.
That means it's a pick'em game, Brian.
It's a pick'em. You're right. Exactly. That means it's a pick'em game. You're exactly right. You're a neutral site. It's a pick'em game.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kim Palm rankings. Both teams were in the 280 to 310 range in terms of overall efficiency. Yeah.
When was the last time, Brian, that Lehigh played? Of course, Prairie View just played Saturday. When was Lehigh's last game?
Let's see. Well, look it up. This is the beautiful thing about AI live during the show here, Charles. You know, I can just punch that in. Wow. They played Wednesday, March 11th, where they defeated Boston University 74-60.
So they basically have had a few more days as compared to Prairie View playing on Saturday.
Yeah, this is Lehigh's first NCAA tournament berth since 2012.
That could be a little bit of a factor. We talked about rust, whatever you want to call it. They played on Wednesday. Prairie View played on Saturday. And so you got to throw that into the mixing bowl as well.
I would rather be Prairie View, who already had just played that game. You know what I'm saying? So I like Edwin. I appreciate you. Look, so just the adjusted tempo thing is one of those metric stats that it's possessions per 40 minutes. That's what that is. So the number of possessions that a team will have in a 40-minute. It's one of those stats that people track. If you can get, and I don't know what, I got to go look and see what Prairie View is. That you got me digging down the hole now. A lot of teams will get into the 70 to 80 range. So yeah, I mean all those stats you can go find in a lot of different places, honestly, if you're interested in that. But you know, I'll tell you, it's always interesting when you watch a game, Charles, and then you're looking for stats. Like, for example, as well, Kelvin and I were doing the watch party on the FAMU Southern game. The biggest stat that we kept looking at was points off of turnovers.
Yep.
Southern scored 22 points off of turnovers to FAMU's 12.
Yeah.
That was plus 10. So despite the fact that FAMU had a clear free throw shooting advantage in that game, which they did. I mean, FAMU was 16 of 20. Southern was like 2 of 5 or something. It was horrible, but it was just the fact that you had only really shot 5 free throws. So while FAMU had committed more turnovers and the points off of turnovers were there, that's why that game was even. That's exact, and it did. It was even. It came down to the last shot.
Yeah.
I mean, FAMU had an opportunity with the score tied at 70. They missed. Southern came down, scored tied at 70, hit a bucket, game over.
Yeah.
But the reason why it was what it was is for much of that game, Southern had the advantage on points off of turnovers and fast break points. And it wasn't until FAMU balanced it out with the free throws that game started to turn the other direction and became the game that it was in the second half.
It is hard to win when you're turning the ball over. You're giving up points off turnovers. That's probably one of the key stats. Rebounding and points off turnovers are probably the two numbers amongst a couple others that coaches look at when they get a stat sheet every media timeout. And so, you know, Lady Braves points off turnovers. You know, we get 23 turnovers. And so I think that is huge. Coaches look at that all the time. And so if you can keep your turnovers low, shoot a high percentage, you're not giving the other team that many possessions. That most of the time leads to a victory, unless other things, you get out rebounded, you don't get to the free throw line enough, or you miss a ton of free throws. That's the other part of it. But turnovers definitely is the story. And if you're giving up points off of those are deflators on the court, and they're frustrators as far as coaches are concerned.
Okay, let's go over to the other matchup, Howard versus UMBC. That game is the first game on Tuesday, March 17th. That's the first of the first 4 games. I don't think they've published the game times, but usually those game times are like 6:30.
Yeah.
And 6:30 and like 9 or something like that.
I do remember them playing some early. Am I wrong? Some of the play-ins they play like at noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They might have a couple of sessions. I might be wrong on that.
It's funny you say that, because as I'm looking here, this is showing that the game is a 1 o'clock Eastern game. That would shock me if they're playing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. I don't recall them doing that in past years. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to keep checking the NCAA websites and other places to kind of see what is the game time for. I'm sure at some point this evening it'll be published because they're working on that now.
Yeah.
But right now the engine that I'm looking at is saying a 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern, which I'm like, wow, okay, 1 o'clock Eastern. And it said that as well for the Prairie View game on Wednesday. But again, I'm shocked that they would play these games in the afternoon. Usually they try to capitalize on that the evening crowd.
Well, some of those NCAA tournament games are also, you got the morning block or the afternoon block, and then you got the evening block. And with all these networks, you got TNT, TBS, CBS, True. I would not be surprised if some of these games are scattered out even earlier. Television is kind of dictating a lot of this stuff in terms of times and staggered times. So I'm not surprised. And if it is that early, I know the times that we've been in Dayton, we played on the evening block, the 5:30 Central Time tip right after the 5 o'clock news. The time that's exactly when we have played. But you do see some early afternoon games.
Well, but that starts Thursday. The early afternoon games start at noon or sometime afternoon, like 12:20, 12:30, 12:15.
Yeah.
Something like that begins Thursday and Friday, because you got 16 games that you're trying to play in a 12 to 10 hour window, right?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different than 2 games in an evening. So I don't know. I think the first 4 games are primetime games, or at least early evening primetime. With the 11.
That's the way it used to be. But I think maybe more teams that's in these first 4, maybe that's why some of these games are a little early.
It's still, and I saw EA talk about the expanded from 4 to 8. No, it has been 8. So it's been 4 games. They haven't expanded to 8 playing games yet. That expansion hasn't happened yet. This is still a field of 68 teams. They haven't jumped to 72 just yet. It's still 68 teams.
Yeah.
Unless you guys see something different out there.
Yeah.
Let me go to this matchup, Howard matchup, because I know some of you might be curious about Howard versus UMBC. Maryland, UMBC, Maryland, Baltimore County. Do you know their nickname, Charles?
No.
They are the Retrievers. The Retrievers. And of course, yes, their claim to fame is they are the team that beat the #1 seed Virginia Cavaliers. I believe that was somebody posted it. Hold on, who was it? Yeah, Emmett. They beat Virginia back in 2018. That was the first time that a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. Back in 2018. And then, of course, Virginia went on to win the national championship the following year. So, anyway. All right. So, UMBC, they are in the American East. They are riding a 12-game winning streak. Of course, Howard, winners of the MEAC, they are an 8-game winning streak right now. Howard's defense ranks in the top 10 nationally in forced turnovers. So that's kind of a thing that they have on their side. The size advantage appears to be maybe on the side of UMBC. You guys in the chat, tell me if I'm wrong here. Does Howard have anybody taller than 6'7"? I hate to do that, but that's what they say here. UMBC has a 6'10" forward, Jose Roberto Tension. He leads the team in rebounding. UMBC shoots 51.5 from the field. And watch this, Charles, over 40% from the three-point arc. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I think, with that game being in Dayton, East Coast, Virginia, DC, I think there'll be a lot of attention for that game. I mean, for Howard out there on the East Coast as well as Virginia, I think that'll add an extra spice to this game.
Howard has 2 guys who average 17 points a game. Bryce Harris, 17.5, along with 6.7 rebounds. He's a senior guard, of course. And then there's Cedric Taylor III. He averages 17.3 and 6 rebounds. Both of those guys, outstanding work. UMBC's leading scorer averages 14 a game. Both teams have a Ken Palm in the ballpark of each other. UMBC's Ken Palm ranking is 185. Howard's Ken Palm is 207.
So where are you putting your money on this one?
Oh, I'm going to ride Howard. I'm going with Howard. This is a day where I actually feel really good about the 2 HBCU teams because of who they are. Like, I really think Howard look, I've been impressed with Howard all season. And then I think Prairie View is just hot. Prairie View's Howard has won 8 in a row. Prairie View has won 9 of the last 10.
Yeah.
I think that's a big time advantage for both of them.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, it's about momentum and confidence. I think those are 2 underrated factors. There were a number of teams in the league that had a little bit of momentum, but what about the confidence factor? Did Bethune have the confidence? Even though they were a 1 seed, they kind of, without Dr. Bradley, who we didn't see, down the stretch. But I thought Prairie View had confidence, and then the momentum came. Florida A&M had momentum, then the confidence came. And so to me, as I look at things a little bit differently, confidence and momentum. When you're playing somebody, whether in tennis or whether it's a team, you got confidence and momentum. That's kind of a tough thing to slow down at times. And that's what Prairie View has. That's what Howard has. That's what Southern has. And so I think with that, Southern's been here before. And so I think the Jaguars are ripe for that to move up. We'll see what Prairie View does. We'll see what Howard does. So I'm looking to see how teams adjust on the fly Tuesday and or Wednesday. And it's March Madness. Anything's possible. We've seen crazy things happen, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all evolves.
Look, EA, I don't know. You hit me up. You're not picking PV. Is that what you're telling me, EA? I'm always down to wager on some wings, Charles. I love wings. We wagering wings and fries. Let's go.
Well, I have to say this in terms of betting, Brian. I lost a bet to a friend the other day. If he won, he got a steak dinner. If I won, I love grilled oysters. There's a place here, and a place in Natchez that's got great grilled oysters. There's a place here in Vicksburg that's got great steaks. I lost the bet, so he said, "I'll let you know when I'm coming to get my steak." So I lost my bet. We're talking about Southern and Bethune and all that. So I lost the bet.
That's tough.
That is tough.
I empathize with you, Charles. Let me just, before we get ready to get out of here, let me just run through a roll call. Of course, over the past week or the weekend, we had the HBCU schools, HBCU programs that were in the postseason tournament, the Division II tournament, as well as the NAIA tournament. The last team standing in the Division II level now is Winston-Salem State, the women. The women's team, the Lady Rams, are in the I guess you could say the round of 16 or what. It's always interesting at the D2 level how they do their formatting when it's regional. So this is the regional finals or the Sweet 16. You win your region, there are 8 regions, and you go to the Elite 8. So for the women, Winston-Salem State, they play they are the 3 seed in the region. They play the 1 seed, Indiana, Pennsylvania. That's on March 16th. That's tomorrow. Tip-off is 7 o'clock. You can watch the game, ncaa.com. You can go watch the game. It's right there. So let's make sure we tune in, lock in, and support the Lady Rams. Virginia Union won their first round game yesterday against one of the second highest scoring offense, 52-46. Unfortunately, they lost today in the second round to Indiana, Pennsylvania in overtime, 66-62. Their season is over. Teams that lost earlier in the weekend, Fayetteville State women lost in double overtime. Fayetteville State was the 5 seed. They lost to the 4 seed, a school by the name of Seton Hill. They lost 88-85 in double overtime. Edward Waters women, the 8 seed in the region, playing the 1 seed. Wow. Edward Waters playing this UAH had a chance to tie or take the lead late in the fourth quarter, Charles. 2 missed 3-pointers. They had wide open looks, missed them, ended up losing 95-85. Congratulations to Coach Jackson, though. They had a chance, though. They really looked good and had a chance. The other women's team, number 4 seed Miles, lost 91-71 to Nova Southeastern, who was a 5 seed. So Miles' season is over. On the men's side, Fayetteville State, winners of the CIAA, they lost to California of Pennsylvania 96-83. And Morehouse, the 8 seed in their region, were taking on the number 1 seed Nova Southeastern, who, if you're not familiar with Nova Southeastern on the D2 level, Charles, that team presses for 40 minutes. 40 minutes, 94 feet. I mean, they make what Arkansas, I mean, it is like the, how do I want to say this? It's the Melanin Challenge version of Arkansas's 40 minutes of hell. But it's effective as heck, too. That's all I'm going to say. It is effective. They're one of the top scorers. Matter of fact, they are the nation's leading scorer. They average about 101 a game. Morehouse lost 94-60.
Brian, AD Drew I'm sure you see the comment, Howard's women are 14 seeds. So Liv was correct. 14 seed that plays Ohio State in Fort Worth.
Hey, good shot. Congratulations to Howard. That's the is that the second year that an HBC, matter of fact, that's the second year that a MEAC school has got a 14 seed, because wasn't that Norfolk State a 14 seed last year?
Yeah. I believe.
Congratulations to Howard. All right. Good stuff. Oh,
yeah,
man,
so that's
awesome.
that's good. Now, and by the way, Brian, somebody had posted a question when I brought up the 15 seed. And the question was, well, I mean, if you're a 15 seed, you're still gonna get the brakes beat off of you by a top 8, top 9 team, top 8. So what difference does it make? That's true. That is true. We talk about getting out of that 16 seed. So you're 16, you're 15, you're getting one of the top 8, you're 14, you're getting one of the top 12. So that is a very valid point. You're still getting a beast, whether you're 16, And of course, we know the winner of Prairie View's game will take on Florida, which is one of the best teams in the top 4. Or if you're 15, you're going right into it and avoiding the play-in and playing one of the seeds, one of the 5, 6, 7 ranked teams in the country. What difference does it make? And that's true. And so, 6-1, half a dozen in the other. You're still going to get a tough matchup once you get out of, whether you want to start with it or you get out of the play-in game. And so or out of the first 4, as Dr. Cavill likes to say, once you get out of the first 4, you're staring at one of the top teams in the country.
Here's the thing about the women's game, though, Charles. Now, even though Howard is a 14 seed, Howard women, a 14 seed, taking on the 3 seed Ohio State. In the women's game, they do regional hosting for schools. It's on campus. So the top 16 teams get a chance to host a regional site.
Correct.
So Howard will actually travel and they will play Ohio State on Ohio State's home court. So even though, as I'm looking it up, and I've just punched up the numbers, Ohio State this year, 26-7. They were 13-5 in the Big Ten. They reached the Big Ten tournament semifinals. They had wins this season over Indiana and Minnesota before they lost to the number 1 seed UCLA. Their biggest advantage, though, Charles, is that they are at home in their own gym, own arena, own fans.
Yeah.
That is what Howard has to walk into. If they were on a neutral site, holy cow, they would be in trouble.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest difference in the men and women's tournament is that, a school like Howard or Norfolk State last year, you got to go play on somebody else's home court. And I think there's some statistics that 90% of the teams who host those regional games usually win. Yeah. I think it's some number like 90. It's not 100%, but it's like 90.
Yeah. And Brian, I've been a part of 3 of those. When the Lady Braves won, we played in Notre Dame's regional. We played Notre Dame. We played in Minneapolis. We played Minnesota in the Minneapolis regional, and then we played Louisiana Tech in Ruston. So it is tough. It is a true road game, and so that's what makes it tough. And will that change? I don't know, but I think for Howard to walk into that situation, happy to be there, but you're going up against the Ohio State team at home that's been pretty good. And you really got to come out and every little thing matters because the home crowd's going to be into it. 8-0 run, you got to stop the bleeding. You got to slow the game down when you're playing on the road, especially in the postseason. And hopefully Howard could do that.
And the good thing for Howard is Howard's women, as Liv said earlier in the show, they have only played Division I opponents. So they're non-conference. They're pre-MEAC schedule. They weren't playing Division II schools. They weren't playing NAIAs. Only Division I opponents. So, and probably the majority of them were on the road. Probably had a few games in Burr Gymnasium, but they are not scared and will not back down. I think I can't wait to see what the line is on that. But I don't think that's probably the worst matchup Ohio State could get.
Yeah.
I mean, because didn't Norfolk State who I forgot who did Norfolk State play last year? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Lennon Blow, if you're in the chat room still, who did Norfolk State women play last year? I'm curious as to how close a game it was last year for for them. All right. I was given the let me go to the NAIA level. Just to give a shout out to our HBCUs at the NAIA level. Of course, the last school standing is Langston University. They advanced to the round of 16 on the NAIA level for the 4th consecutive year under head coach Chris Wright. Now, the NAIA's format is a little different for those who aren't familiar. They host quads in 16 sites. similar to what you see at the Division II level. But then when you get to the round of 16, everybody goes to Kansas City. So all of the games at the Sweet 16, or what you call the 16 round, they call it the round of 16 because the NCAA trademarked the Sweet 16 thing. So at the round of 16, everybody's in Kansas City, Missouri, and it just goes from, they just play it out, 16 down to 8, down to 4, down to a championship game. And so they will take on the number 1 ranked Oklahoma Wesleyan, a team that they played very early in the season, first or second game of the season. Langston beat them 73-70. So that will be a good matchup, and that game will be on Friday, March 20th. You can watch that game on Urban Edge Network. Urban Edge carries all of the NAIA playoff matchups, so you can watch it on UEN, and that should be a good game to watch. The NAIA schools that lost, Arkansas Baptist on the men's side as a 16 seed lost to Nelson of Texas, 96-81. Xavier, Louisiana on the men's side, they were a 12 seed, lost a very close game to the 5 seed William Carey, 88-87 on a go-ahead three-pointer with a few seconds left. Xavier almost walked out of there with a win. 15 seed Tougaloo on the men's side. They lost 94-88. A young man, Antonio Patterson, had 40 points and 11 rebounds, but it wasn't enough to get a win. Wow, that's tough. Great performance, but unable to get it done. And then Suno out of the HBCU AC as well. Their men's program were a 16 seed. They lost to that Oklahoma Wesleyan team I mentioned, 104-66. The NAIA women's programs that lost, Langston, an 8 seed, lost to Bethel, Indiana, 67-64. Rust College, a 16 seed, lost to Freed Hardeman in Tennessee, 77-53. And 16 seed Talladega lost 67-51 to Bethel of Tennessee. So shout out to those HBCU programs that made it to the postseason but came up short. But we still got a few dancing, Charles. We still got a few schools dancing.
Absolutely. I'm really, looking forward to seeing how this plays out on March Madness here, Brian. This is an exciting time of the year. Upsets galore. Your season hinges on one game. You survive in advance. And from Howard to Southern to Alcorn, we're still waiting for our matchup here in the WNIT. I'm kind of looking at some stuff here as far as where we're going to go. I'm just looking forward to this time of year. It's an exciting time. Money involved, conference going to get paid, school's going to get paid. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how this all winds up, and hopefully we can see some upsets. Hopefully some teams can survive and move on and really, move up the ladder. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. So we already know that Alcorn Lady Braves accepted the WNIT invitation, and Maryland Eastern Shore of the MEAC accepted the WNIT Invitational. We're expecting Alabama A&M women to possibly accept the WBIT Invitational invite. We're still waiting on that. And Norfolk State women, they might be in play as well to possibly get an invite to the WBIT. So we'll see. Make sure you guys, I'll tell you, if you want to find all this stuff out, make sure you're following at Live for Hoops. I'm not even going to lie. Liv will have all this stuff ready. So if you want to keep it simple for yourself, make sure you turn on your notifications. Follow at Live for Hoops. Liv will tell you what's happening and when it's happening. All right. So there we go. Emmett said Norfolk State lost to Maryland 82-69 last year. Okay, thank you. And they were a 13 seed. So thank you, Drew. Thank you, Emmett. All right, Charles. Final thoughts here as we close out the show.
Man, I'm ready for March Madness. Great job, the SWAC conference in the tournament in Atlanta. Was looking forward to seeing how things will wind up, and it just shows you again that come tournament time in this conference, it's all unpredictable. You never know who's going to win the thing, and so it adds to the excitement of all 12 teams in it. And now I'm looking forward to seeing what we do in the postseason. So bring on March Madness. Maybe it'll be some more madness starting in the next couple of days.
Exactly. Again, a reminder in the chat, I just put it in there. Go join our BCSN SportsWrap Madness Challenge. It's a bracket. It's the full 64 bracket challenge. Free. One bracket. Not going to ask you unless you want to make a donation. You can. I'm not collecting any money on that bracket, but we do want you to join it. The winner, I'm going to tell you now, the winner will co-host the show with me and Drew. That's the winner. So if you win the contest, you're going to come co-host the show with me and Drew. So there you go. Also, I'm doing a Survivor League, Survivor contest for the NCAA men's tournament. Go follow me at DRB365. My last tweet before the show started was about the Survivor contest. It's a $10 entry. I don't handle any of the money, but if you win it, the money's all yours. 2 entries max, $10 entry. So come play Survivor on the NCAA tournament. It's a fun way to play the NCAA tournament in case you are looking for something different other than the brackets and all that stuff. All you got to do is pick one game in each round, not day, each round, one winner. And then you survive in advance, and you just hope that there's no upset of your favorite team. There you go. Which
are the employees of the Black College Sports Network eligible? Am I eligible?
Yes. We have no legal counsel to say. There's no. Hey,
we're in a whole new society, Brian.
I understand. There's no legal counsel to tell me no. So right now, yes, all Black College Sports Network contributors are allowed to play in it along with viewers and fans. So find my Twitter handle at DRB365 is where you can play that Survivor contest. You can join the bracket challenge on ESPN by using the link there in the chat. Monday night, Winston-Salem State Lady Rams, 7:00. Tuesday, Howard. I think it's Tuesday evening. Let's wait to find out. Howard versus UMBC. Wednesday, Prairie View versus Lehigh. That's Wednesday. Thursday, we'll wait to see what happens Thursday. It could be possibly Howard playing on Thursday. If Howard wins, Howard plays the University of Michigan on Thursday. Friday could be Prairie View taking on the Gators, Florida Gators on Friday, as well as Langston University. And then we'll wait to see what the schedules look like of the WNIT, the WBIT, so on and so forth. So there you go. Yeah. Let me see. Are we doing a women's bracket challenge? I don't know. What do you think? Should we do a women? That now you talk about a shot in the dark. I think we should. Slide put it out there. So I guess we should, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. There it is. All right, cool. Slide. Appreciate you. Yeah, I will build it and I will post it tonight on the social media handles, my BCSN1 at DRB365, and of course the Black College our BCSN SportsWrap pages. Good shout out, Sly. I will do a women's bracket challenge as well. Hey, sheet of integrity. And then maybe we'll if you win that one, we'll give you a chance to come co-host the show with us on a day other than. So that way, 2 opportunities to come co-host a show with myself and Drew. I can kind of do that because Drew's not here, so I'm kind of taking executive privileges here. I don't think he'll mind though. And then we'll go there. So. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Got to thank our guests. Thank Liv for Hoops, Liv Antilla for joining us. Always appreciate you, Charles, getting a chance to talk to you and talk hoops. Good luck to the Lady Braves in the WNIT. And, the Braves just keep doing what they're doing. Now we're a lot of us are ready. We're moving on to spring sports, Charles. A lot of us are. but there's still some people playing basketball.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that too. You know, it's for all corners kind of a struggle with baseball and softball right now, but still a lot of softball and baseball to go. So we'll see how that works.
All right, good. Drew gave me the thumbs up. So see, my other executive producer gave it up. So there you go. Come join the men's bracket challenge and the women's bracket challenge. Look out for those. Look out for those posts to come out on social media, and let's have fun watching college basketball. More importantly, let's support our HBCUs. We are all one right now. This week, we set aside our conference affiliations, and we are all supporting the HBCUs wherever they are playing. So good luck to all. Congratulations on the great seasons. And again, thank you guys for watching the BCSN SportsWrap. And get ready to go fill out those brackets. I am chasing down brackets now. And we'll see you on the other side, folks. Have a great week. God bless everybody.
But you stay hard.